Let me set the scene for you. Construction workers are tasked with blasting out some surrounding mountains or other part of a hill and removing material to build a new road or highway or whatever. So let's say that you're the safety pro and you walk up on this. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this. So first, let's take a look in order of the violations that are going on in this scene right here. So first, we can see that this operator, he's smoking. Not a smart idea if you're working with blasting materials, which is a direct violation of OSHA Code 1926-900 Part B, which clearly reads, smoking firearms matches, open flames, lamps, and other fires, flame or heat producing devices, and sparks shall be prohibited in or near explosive magazines or while explosives are being handled, transported, or being used. Moving on to our next violation, we can see that he's enjoying a little brewski on the job, but unfortunately that's an OSHA violation, specifically 1926-900 Part C, which says, no person shall be allowed to handle or use explosives while under the influence of intoxicating liquors, narcotics, or other dangerous drugs. Now let's take a look at number 3 on the list. Here we can see that a box containing blasting materials has been left unlocked and unattended, which, you guessed it, is another OSHA violation. Specifically, 1926-900 Part D. Explosives not being used shall be kept in locked magazines unavailable to persons not authorized to handle them. Which is exactly what's going on here. Not only is it unattended, that's left wide open. Yeah, not good. And speaking of blasting materials, that is a convenient segue into our next violation. Now, as you can see, this operator is using black powder. Now, this substance may be good for powder season, but not for blasting operations. As OSHA has clearly stated in 1926-900 Part P, short and sweet, the use of black powder shall be prohibited. Now, if this project looks a little bit barren, that's by design, because according to 1926-900I, employees authorized to prepare explosive charges or conduct blasting operations shall use every reasonable precaution, including, but not limited to, visual and audible warning signals, flags, or barricades to ensure employee safety. Now, I must be blind because I don't see a single one of those! So now that we've gone over the absolute nightmare that this project is, let's move on to the case study. So for my case study, I chose to go over an employee fatality that occurred during a power line removal operation of blasting. So an employee was contracted by the Tennessee Valley Authority to get rid of a 500 kilovolt power line, as well as 3 other towers in that area. What happened was the crew that was on the job utilized various different blasting devices to remove the power lines that were holding them up. And after use, these blasting devices were loosely handled and put inside of a magazine, which is a box used specifically to hold these explosive devices. So after being stored, these explosive devices weren't needed for the time being, until they were. And having misplaced the keys, the supervisor of all people came up with a splendid idea. So the crew didn't have the keys, but they did have a propane torch that was in the supervisor's truck. So they were cutting the locks, and the first one went off without a hitch. The second one, however, it just went off. So as you can imagine, using a propane torch to cut a lock off of a box containing explosive devices didn't go as planned. Imagine my surprise. The explosive devices in the box ignited, exploded, and left the employee with multiple injuries leading to his fatality. I guess that's Darwinism at work. So after everything was all said and done, the Tennessee Valley Authority was cited and ultimately fined $168,000 for serious and willful violation. One of these violations being Section 5A1, which states, the employer did not furnish to each of his employees employment and a place of employment which were free from recognized hazards that were causing or likely to cause death or serious physical harm to employees, and that employees were exposed to atmospheric hazards while working in a confined space. So in closing, blasting is a very, very dangerous operation. But as is the case with most jobs, the operation is only as safe as your employees. Thanks.